So yeah, for Valentines I thought I'd do something with a tenuous link. You can see from the title it's a love at first sniff kind of fragrances. It's just going to be brief, not the same as my reel, because I've spoke about them in quite a bit of detail before, so I'm trying to not cross over too much with everything and repeat myself lots. Love at first sniff is kind of, I think it's like real life, isn't it? Love at first sight is such a rare thing, but I believe in it. I'm no philosopher, I'm not going to go on and on and on. A lot of people would argue maybe it's always just lust at first sight. Not always. I mean, of course, that's quite a human attribute, isn't it? And it is, of course, the same with fragrances. We're going to sniff it and we're going to want it, and we're going to want it, and then when we've kind of had it, it's a bit like, yeah. And that's quite often how these fragrances kind of get you in, isn't it? That opening, that kind of, and then there are some of them that you kind of sniff and you instantly know you've been wearing it and you just can't leave it alone, and you want it more and more, and you develop like loads of connections to it, and that is love at first sniff, and it happens, doesn't it? Anyway, that's my kind of bit of Valentine's blurb to make this video more romantic than it is. So yeah, let's get into it. So first up on the list is a Dior. It's Oud Rosewood. Now I've spoken bits and bats about this, spoken about it fairly recently, and this one just got me. Now there's quince listed, I don't really get that, but there's a little bit of a nice fresh pop in the beginning, but mainly the raspberry to me, and it's just this great amalgamation of leather, and it's got this kind of dirty, not quite animalic-ish kind of oomph about it. That mixing with the all the other notes, and the rosewood, as we know, rosewood is such a smooth, tactile wood, isn't it? It kind of smells how it looks like this kind of, how would you put it, like a log that's too hard to bite into, but it has maybe like a red velvet cake. That's what it reminds me of, a wooden red velvet cake, and it has a little bit of that kind of smell about it, and all these mixed together with obviously a little bit of musk just create this really kind of, it's classy, it's elegant, it's got that bit of grr, it's got that nice sensual touch from the raspberry, and it's not linear, it kind of changes and adapts on you. Weirdly, I can quite pull this off in the summer with one spray, and it just surrounds you in that class. And it just kind of had me. I think Lizzie Rosen-Jones sent me a sample of it, and then I bought her a little bottle off her. It's just lovely, a lovely one. So that's Dior Oud Rosewood. Next is one I have spoken about quite a bit, so I won't go too much into it. But not so much recently. But it was Milano Fragranzi's La Prima. Now I got the sample sets, and do you know what? They're nice. They're like Mask Milano in the fact that they're familiar DNAs, but they've modernised. There's a twist about them. And La Prima is kind of the big osmanthus, peachy, beautiful, classy kind of nod to 1920s, 1940s kind of going to the opera and all of that. It's almost like, of course I bloody loved it. It's so very me. It's a big, bold, sweet, fruity, like floral. So I wouldn't say it's a fruity floral, a fritoral or anything, but it's because we know what osmanthus is like, can be quite peachy and syrupy, and the Divana, that adds that just perfect level of it, that floral fruitiness. And there's a fur accord, but again, like the last one, it has this little, what are you doing, lad? Has this little animalic, very gentle under it all, where you can imagine the fur coats, but again, that gives it that bit of oomph. Another just very classy, elegant, sophisticated one. It's not shy either, like Oud Rosewood, and I just smelt it. It was just, this is the fruity floral type fragrance I've been looking for. Yeah, absolutely loved it. So that's La Prima from Milano Fragranze. Next up could have been kind of one of many of these really, and I think maybe it was a kind of unexpected love. Like, I don't know, this would be the kind of the chav you'd see and think, well, that's definitely not my type. There's the dog chasing grouse, wonderful. But yeah, you know, the kind of chav you wouldn't take a second look at and think, well, it's not my type, and you'd be a bit snobby. But as you get to know them, well, they're pretty, but you know, the more you get to know them, actually, you find yourself slowly, weirdly, unexpectedly drawn to them. And the Chiali I'm going to pick it could have been any of them, but the one that's kind of the most me is obviously the Musk 12, is it? And it's nothing complicated, it's nothing out of this world, it's nothing whatever, it's just well, what you want a musk to be. It's just a kind of slightly sweetened, your skin but better, musky fragrance. It's obviously got white flowers and this and that in it. It's also got a little bit, to me, a little bit of a kind of fizz about it. Not quite champagne, but that kind of almost there. And just mixing with the musk, it's just a beautiful, easy wear. And yes, I did love it, and it's the one, again, I probably wear quite a bit, and it's obviously the Chialis, so they're perfect for layering, and with it being as simple as it is, you can layer that musk under a lot of things, and it just adds that little sparkle, that little musky niceness. I'm not sure if this one has ambrette in it or not. I think it might do, you know, but it has a little bit of the oomph factor. So yeah, that's a musk from Chiali. Next is, of course, one I have spoken about a lot, but it's not always the easiest kind of fragrance, I think. And it's Tom Ford's Noir de Noir. Now, when I first started, as we all do, sniffing clones and stuff, this was one of 3 I ordered the first time from this company. Yeah, look at that. And there was Back to Black, Noir de Noir, and another one that I've since bought. It's a very lucky, this is how it drew me in, isn't it? I'm trying to think what the other one is. But anyway, Noir de Noir, I loved it. And then obviously eventually you get to smell the original, which obviously got a lot more about it. Just in love. And again, we know I'm a rose prejudice kind of struggler, intolerant kind of chap. And rose isn't always for me, but the rose in that, it's how you kind of discovered I love a kind of more gothic, darker rose. Mixing with the dark patchouli and the kind of truffliness. And yeah, that whole vampire kind of thing about it. There is a kind of almost red winey at your kind of big long candlelit table with all your little vampire friends around you and all of that about it. And it just happens to be a rose, not only that do I love, actually really kind of suits me, which, yeah, I like it. So that's Tom Ford's Noir de Noir. And then, last but not least, is where it didn't start this journey, but where the kind of love of fragrances come from. We all know of Dupe Boy. The first fragrance I ever bought myself was accidental. It's Boss Soul. Now, we all know you have department stores wherever you are in the world. We go into Boots here and you had these people who'd practically mace you with it. They'd like spray it in your eyes and all over you. Used to really annoy me. But one of the people had sprayed that on me. And, oh, hang on. So yeah, sorry about that. Chatting to dog walkers, it's what apparently dog people do. But yes, Boss Soul. I think I got up to where they sprayed me, and it was on my hand. Normally I used to get quite reactions to some of them. Anyway, walking around Boots with my girlfriend at the time, buying whatever she bloody needed for herself. Yeah, me buying it. And anyway, I just kept getting wafts of it, and I sniffed it, and it was just like, ooh, this is kind of really, really lovely. And so I kind of walked outside, and I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go in. I went in and bought it. But it kind of, obviously with dupe, it sort of points my taste in fragrance, doesn't it? It's kind of almost florally, kind of ambery fragrance. And it's just, yeah, it's gorgeous. I think there's cardamom in it. It's a little bit like a precursor to Le Nuit de l'Homme. It's not the same, but it has, you know, that same kind of, I suppose, of its time kind of feel to it. So yeah, that's Hugo Boss Soul. So yeah, that's basically it. Just a few of them love at first sniffs. And the thing about them is the love for them lingers, doesn't it? You keep on loving them, you keep on enjoying them, maybe even discovering them in new ways, etc. But there's kind of a few honourable mentions I want to put in there. They're the three obvious ones: Date with a Dane from One Way Bridge, Lotus Rising from Maple Aromatics, and of course Rolling in Love from Killian. And these are my next levels. These are the loves of my life, of these fragrances. These are that, you know, that lass with the big eyes and the big beautiful kind of booty, the big smile, I mean, yeah, and the personality, you know, the artist, the kind of alternative, you know, all them things you want in these fragrances, and they're the ones that kind of stay with you for life. I'm not going to go into them because we all know, spoke about them enough. So yeah, that's it really. What about you? I mean, I could do another video, Lust at First Sniff. Whereas them fragrances we've gone, oh yes. But then, you know, you kind of like, oh, that was a bit, whatever. Bit of a disappointment. So yeah, we'll get, maybe. Anyway, what's your kind of love at first sniff fragrances? Do you have many that you've kind of fallen in love with more and more, that have kind of stuck with you? Does it happen very often? Do we often get tricked by the lust at first sniff kind of thing? Alright folks, thanks. Bye.